Thank you, Laura, for that fascinating conversation. We'll bring our line opinion panelists in on the fire discussion in the second half of our show. But for now, we're going to tackle another state issue, education. Let's start by introducing this week's virtual line panel. First off, I want to let you know I am not Gene Grant. In fact, executive producer Kevin McDonald filling in for him again this week as he looks to bounce back from illness. But we are glad to have attorney Laura Sanchez back with us. She's one of our regulars. Also another regular, Merritt Allen from Vox Optima Public Relations. And welcome back to Dan Boyd, Capitol Bureau Chief at the Albuquerque Journal. And we want to start today with a look at the new draft plan to address the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit. That's the 2018 court ruling that found the state had failed to properly educate more than 2/3 of K through 12 students, specifically English language learners, Native Americans, and special needs students. The long-awaited plan released last week aims to address those shortcomings, setting goals for graduation rates, along with math and reading proficiency, among other things. And want to start out, Laura, with you. Are these goals ambitious enough, especially considering the state's plan was released years after it was supposed to be completed?
Well, thanks for that question, Kevin. And I think, of course, there's a lot of people who are going to criticize the timing of when this was released. There was also initially supposed to be a release that was supposed to happen during the session or a little bit prior to the session, is my understanding.
December, I believe.
Yeah, December. And so for sure, there's definitely critics out there about the release of this. But one thing that I think we can see is that like it or not, the education department took its time and the secretary took its time to look very specifically at these different segments of our most vulnerable students to make sure that there was additional resources put into the system for them at a time when we have budget surpluses and we're able to actually increase teacher pay as a state, and we're actually able to provide additional resources. I'm glad to see that they did focus in more specifically into those vulnerable populations. When you look at the numbers of the graduation rates in particular, you can see a huge drop off from those in the populations being, Native American, students of color, poor, low income, but in particular also special education has a huge drop off. The others are in their 70%. Special education drops down to the 68% level in terms of graduation rates. And it's very important to put resources back into that segment of the population. I think you're going to see certainly the plaintiffs continue to have concerns about how this is going to play out, what kind of plan implementation wise there will be, and what kind of oversight there will be. But I think this is a good start for them and an important one to just hit the ground running with.
Yeah, and just to build off what you said, among the overall goals, a 15% increase in graduation rates, and within that, as you pointed out, Laura, to keep all of those subgroups within about 5% of each other, so there aren't those discrepancies. In addition, increasing reading and math proficiency by about 50% for those vulnerable groups, all of this by 2025. And Dan, goals are great, but that game plan of how to achieve those goals is something else entirely. Did you see enough of that substance behind how we're going to get to those goals?
Yeah, I think there's some good goals, some ambitious goals there. I think trying to make some of these changes, overnight is probably not likely to happen. I mean, it's going to take, like Laura suggested, these targeted investments, but then also carrying them through over time. One thing in the report that caught my eye was just kind of the breakdown of the teaching profession, and does that reflect the student population? I think they said, Native students make up 10% of the state's enrollment, and Native teachers are only 2%. And kind of similar breakdown when it comes to Hispanic students. So I think kind of trying to get new teachers in the pipeline, get them the training, get them interested in being a teacher and having a, livable wage. Those things will take time. I mean, it could take years to kind of build that up, but I think if you don't have a roadmap, then certainly it won't happen. I think also with the pandemic, I mean, that's made it hard as well to meet some of these goals. And obviously a lot of students and teachers and families who've had a hard time with the distance learning and now trying to get back to normal, but it's kind of a new normal. So I think all those things have added to the challenge of addressing this issue and the court ruling.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot on this show about those teacher raises, right? In the latest state budget, the governor and legislators significantly increased pay for teachers, and they want to increase that diversity by about 20% of teachers in the classroom. But is that money going to be enough? I mean, to say that we want to increase that diversity in the teachers is great, but we've been talking about teacher shortages for years. Part of that may be solved by these raises, but if not, what are the big ideas we can come up with to attract and retain new teachers that reflect the classroom merit? What do you think about that?
I think there are so many challenges that exist administratively to simply licensing and onboarding new teachers. In APS, it can take up to 18 months to become licensed once you complete your education. So that that's 3 semesters just to get a new teacher on board. Then you're on an annual contract and you have to compete for your job. So why would you stay? You know, you get into a school, you get a rapport, you like the faculty, and then you're thrown back out into the pool, and you find out, you know, you may be on the east side, close to your house on Tramway, and suddenly the only job that's available for you at the end of the school year in next coming August, is out at Volcano Vista. So that's a tremendous challenge. Just the as an Army friend of mine likes to call it, the administrivia that puts up barriers to keeping good teachers and aides and counselors. And then, you know, this lawsuit was not something that came up. You know, this isn't, you know, just in the last 10 years that this has come up. We've got at least 5 decades of poor performance nationally, and decades of inertia and indifference. That's what brought this to bear. And this poor performance has impacted our workforce, our economy. It's contributed to our poverty and our drug use. I think so many of the problems endemic to our state start in our incredibly poor performing education system. So when we talk about, you know, is this enough? Are the goals tough enough? I think we really have to talk about implementation. And is PED capable, and are the school districts going to be capable of implementing these changes in a measured way, with accountability, with milestones? Do they have the resources and the oversight to achieve it?
Yeah, and another big challenge, which we've touched on a lot, not necessarily so far today, but is the internet access, the broadband that we need across the state. Huge infrastructure around that as well. And so I'm curious, Dan, you mentioned it earlier. These are things that are going to take a long time to accomplish. Merritt, you just alluded to the implementation and the accountability. So Dan, how do you balance that in the short term between showing progress and yet also understanding that we are going to solve this over generations?
Well, I think, you know, obviously the resources have to be there, but just I think we've seen that just throwing money at the issue isn't enough. That you need a plan and you need to do things differently, or else it's going to, you know, like Merritt talked about, just be continuing the same pattern. I also think, you know, that right now the state does have a lot of money, obviously revenue coming in, but that's not a given 5-10 years from now. So, you know, is the state going to make the commitment to continue these programs even when we do see those an inevitable kind of, you know, revenue downturn?
And Laura, we've got just about a minute left, but again, this idea of balancing expectations with this commitment. We'll talk some more about maybe what could be done with some of that money we're seeing in now, but how, especially when we see the delays in this draft plan even coming out, there's going to be a public comment period on this, but how do people feel like there's that accountability in place in this?
I think it's really important for people that are interested in this issue to weigh in. I mean, not just organized groups who I think are aware of what's happening and are used to putting in comments perhaps on when agencies release reports and so forth, but you know, there should be parents that are concerned about this. There should be other groups, local governments, tribal governments. This is a statewide issue, and definitely something that I think all of us have a stake in. But, you know, to the issue that you asked Dan about with regard to infrastructure and broadband, there's such a huge tech gap when you look at these particular populations that are vulnerable. And there is, let's not forget, federal funding that is coming out from the infrastructure bill related to broadband expansion and assistance from the Fed. So it's important for the state to get their act together in terms of applying for some of that funding, which is often formula funding that they can then use to try to expand that infrastructure and make sure that students are connected.
Definitely. Much more on that formula funding question to come here on the show. But we mentioned that public comment, and the PED, Public Education Department, is accepting comments on this draft plan through June 17th. Just head to the website to find out where you can get involved in that process. Super important that we all do that. We'll be right back for another discussion with our line opinion panel, this time about how the state's reliance on fossil fuels impacts our shifts toward renewables.